So this is going to be my review of M3GAN, although officially pronounced M3GAN or whatever. The first 2023 movie release that I saw and the first one that I'm doing a review for. Now audiences love killer dolls. I mean, the legacy of the Chuckster speaks for itself. There's his girlfriend Tiffany, Jigsaw's puppet, Annabelle, the list goes on and on. Now M3GAN was one of those trailers that really caught people's attention though. The film, particularly M3GAN herself, had this just attitude about her that made the film just seem worth watching, more importantly, that it'd be a fun time at the movies. In this movie, a roboticist named Gemma creates a highly advanced adapting human-sized robot slash doll dubbed M3GAN in order to comfort her grieving niece whose parents have just tragically passed. Now, films like this pretty much write themselves. You know, you can obviously see where the story is going. Of all the killer doll films, the one this is the most similar to would be Child's Play. No, not the original classic, the god-awful piece of shit remake that came out in 2019. The less said about that movie, the better. As I mentioned in the opening, M3GAN herself is the object of interest here. As a creation, she definitely steals the show here because of her attitude, her look, her voice, adaptation skills, and her dancing, of course. That was a very interesting scene to see the least. Now in films / stories such as this, the real issue or balancing act is, can you make the doll's turn to a less friendly side believable? Well, I believe this film did a solid job at first for the most part. But there does come a moment towards the final third of the movie where things definitely start to escalate a little too quickly and M3GAN starts to commit some wrongdoings without much motivation, or the motivation didn't make a ton of sense based on what was shown. Now, this film is labeled as a horror film, but keep in mind this film is PG-13. To the film's credit, there's definitely a few moments where it definitely does try to push that PG-13 rating, noticeably a certain scene that features an ear, which was kind of like, ooh, goddamn. But when the last horror film that I saw was Terrifier 2, that makes the stuff in this film look like it should be in Playhouse Disney. Now, I'm not saying I need every horror movie or thriller to be Terrifier 2, but there were several other horror films I saw, such as Smile and other stuff, where you definitely got more bang for your buck with something that was supposed to be a horror film. You know, there's really not much of an excuse here for horror films or thrillers not to be rated R. So that ended up being major points off for me in this film, where there came those scenes where I really should have started squirming, and then the film just kind of cheapens out and doesn't really show the full body blow or impact of the kill. Now, while none of the horror really impressed me all that much, in fact none of it really, the element behind M3GAN herself that actually did really impress me was the effect she had on Katie, the little girl that Gemma gave her to. The bond that she forms with M3GAN really does start to drive her crazy herself, to where you sat back and said, shit. You know, there are some scenes where you're seeing the craziness really sort of take over Katie. And it's like, wow, you know, M3GAN's definitely wreaking havoc in more ways than one. This led to the movie actually having a pretty solid message on the process of grieving, which Gemma eventually has to teach her, so I did really like that. So the movie has that working for it, M3GAN herself, you know, but unfortunately it's wrapped in a predictable story, lack of gore that really would have helped this movie. The movie did its best it could with the PG-13 rating, but still, not great, even though I will say they did manage to pull off some generally creepy moments throughout the film. Unlike seemingly every other movie that comes out these days though, this film is short. You know, it clocks in at an hour and 42 minutes. I believe that's with the credits. So despite whatever shortcomings the movie had or how stupid it got at times during the climax especially, in the end, just when it might have overstayed its welcome, it ends. It's like, well, alright, can't get too mad at it. I'll be nice and say 6.5 out of 10 for M3GAN. You know, definitely could have been better, or I was hoping it would be better based on those trailers and how fun the trailers looked. But it definitely could have been worse. An R rating is definitely what this film needed, at least for me, to be a bit more memorable. But hey, what the hell do I know? It's made a shit ton of money at the box office so far, so clearly they knew what they were doing. So that'll do it for this review of M3GAN. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching.